This was the highest scoring team that you could have had in fantasy football in week 3 of the NFL season. Starting off with your quarterback, if you had Caleb Williams, it was inevitable he would do good playing against the Cowboys defense, and he showed out 29.12 points as the Bears dominated the Cowboys. He's only the 3rd ranked quarterback, but we'll see if he can keep it up in the coming weeks. At your running back 1 spot, you should have had Jonathan Taylor because for the 2nd week in a row, he is the #1 running back in fantasy. He somehow outscored his 29-point week last week by scoring 33 points this week. If you have him on your team, you are probably sitting pretty confident right now. At your running back 2 spot, though, you should have had Jahmyr Gibbs, as he has now made his first appearance of the season, 26.9 points, however, only the 4th ranked running back in the NFL. Gibbs had some high expectations coming into the season. Some people even thought he was going to be the #1 running back in the league. He's not quite there, but if he keeps having weeks like these, perhaps he can get there throughout the season. Now at your wide receiver 1 spot, you should have started Trey Tucker. I'm not gonna lie, if you told me you were starting this guy before the week, I would have laughed in your face because it's Trey Tucker. But he went off and scored 40.9 points this week, an absolutely unbelievable number for such a small name such as his. He's now the 4th ranked wide receiver, but if I had to make a guess, I'm gonna say he's not gonna stay up there for long. Same thing happened last year. He had a monster week 3 and then just disappeared off the face of the map. We'll see if he can keep it up, but the chances are probably not. At your wide receiver 2 spot, you should have had Garrett Wilson. He's now made his first appearance of the season, obviously made it on a couple times last year with Aaron Rodgers. He scored 24.4 points, his first big game with Justin Fields at the helm. If he can keep this production up throughout the year, he could be a very dangerous fantasy option. At your tight end spot, you should have had Hunter Henry. He went off and scored 29 points, an absolutely insane weekend for a tight end, and I believe he made it on here a couple times last year. So if you have him on your team, don't be afraid to start him in the coming weeks. He's now the 3rd ranked tight end, and I expect him to stay pretty high this season. At your flex spot, you should have had Amarion Hampton. As you can see, he's only the 21st ranked running back even after this monster 24.9 point week, but he's a rookie. So you can look past those first couple weeks, and if he could keep up production like this, he could be a great fantasy option. At your defense, it comes as no surprise, the Minnesota Vikings scored 32 points, as I'm sure you're well aware. Absolutely dominated the Jake Brownings-led Bengals. I believe the stat was like 3 turnovers and 4 snaps. It was something nuts like that, and the Vikings are unsurprisingly the #1 defense in fantasy at the moment. And finally, at your kicker spot, you should have had Chase McLaughlin. He's only the 12th ranked kicker, has not had a great first couple games. However, he's been on this list before, so I would expect him to stay in the kicker 1 area. A great outing by the Illinois alum. We'll see where he can go from here. And in total, if you had all of these guys on your team, you would have scored just over 260 points, an insane fantasy score. You would have killed anyone you played against. As you can see, this team was only projected 116.2, but all these guys popped off, doubled their projections, and even if you only had a couple of these guys on your team, you probably won this week. But let me know down in the comments below, did you have a lot of these guys on your team, and did they help you find a victory? Also, if you did enjoy this video, please do subscribe. It would help me out so much more than you think, and be sure to come back after next week.